Libra, happy May. I hope you are doing well. Okay, you guys, this is exactly why I'm doing the love readings for May. I think the energies are out of control, and I think that things are really hitting at a core level. And I think, though, that what happens, too, is this is a month where there's just a lot of healing, a lot of pain, a lot, right? But the problem here is that it's not a time, though. It's a time to recognize these things, and they're going to be brought to the surface, usually in the form of some kind of fear, right? Which is fear is just someplace that we come from when, how do I say? In here, I feel it very, very strongly that there's a strong, deep-seated fear in here of actually I'm going to go through the cards with you, and then hopefully the words will come, but the feeling is not grand. I will tell you that, okay? The first card is you. The second card is your partner or your potential partner. The third card is the karmic situation in and of itself, why it's happening in here, why it's happening now. And the fourth card is the bigger picture of what this whole relationship is about. This would be like when you look back in 50 years and you'll say, oh yeah, that was my takeaway from that. That was my takeaway from this. You know, that was the deal there. There's where I learned leaps and bounds, where I really had, I just really grew as a person. And that's what I feel this is. Okay, these are pretty big things because you've got two Arcana cards that come in here. You show up as Temptation, which is the Devil card. It's the card of lust, though, too, right? I'm just putting that out here. And your clarifying card is Holding On. Okay, now your partner or potential partner is the King of Wands. Okay, so that would be a fire sign, male or female. The clarifying card to that is Guilt. Okay, guilt, again, guilt, shame, all of that comes from fear, which is probably why I'm really searching for words here, because when we don't come from something that is love-based, we're coming from something which is fear, which means our heart is not open, right? It's shut down. It's in protective mode. It's self-protect mode. We're not in any position to be or would be thriving in something. So most likely this is some kind of spiritual relationship here, which is really, really most likely going to hit you wherever you're vulnerable, right? And then the outbound card here, the real big overall, how we become better from this and contribute to the world here, is the Seven of Coins crossed by sensuality. Okay, the Seven of Coins is a card, though, that you've got to take a pause, because you've got to look at, you know, is the way that I'm doing things repeatedly a fall from grace, right, where things are a gamble? Or am I truly investing in where I've been? Am I learning from the past to bring things forward? And sensuality is a card of, it's sensuality with, first you need to have that with yourself, and to have that you need to be vulnerable, which means you need to not come from fear so that your heart is open. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like that Seven of Coins is asking you, there's divine timing in that card too, right? It asks you to really just stop and just stop for a moment, right? And the card prior to it, the littler karmic lesson for the situation, is the Sacrifice, which is the Hanged Man card, right? It's a card of sacrifice. It's a card of hitting the pause button. Regardless of what you're doing, you're not getting the outcome that you're looking for. And the clarifier on that is healing, right? So something is, again, when you've got fear and you've got victim and you've got guilt and you've got all of these that are hitting you at a core level, these are really things that need to be looked at to have a healthy relationship. If they're not, you're not going to come into a healthy relationship. If this is a current relationship, you've got some things that you've got to really look at here, honestly. If this is a potential relationship coming in here, this person is mirroring back to you what you're dealing with. So it's not it's not something that would be a healthy relationship. So my advice to you is, if you're not in a relationship, that you hit that 7 of Coins pause button for a moment and you really get in touch with yourself, and who you are in relationships, and how do you show up, and how are you contributing? What kind of person are you attracted to, or are you attracting? You know what I mean? Are you hanging on, or is it balanced? You know what I mean? Is there airflow in here, or is it, does it automatically become obsessions? Because you've got the Temptation card, you've got the Devil card, and that card in and of itself is a life lived, or it's a life not lived, where you're giving your power away to something or someone. You know what I mean? And it looks like you're holding on here for dear life to something. You know what I mean? But that in and of itself is not showing up in a healthy manner. And your partner here, the King of Wands, that is someone too. He's very theatrical as a personality type, someone who's very theatrical. But it's someone who, how do I even explain this? They've got some inner, it's someone who would appear to be, personality-wise, in here for you. It's someone who would appear to be very, very pulled together, and they are. But it's someone who can function in a really great business arena, but they may have some insecurities on the inside, right? Insecurities. The fire suits themselves. They're great partners for sure, but they are their own worst enemy. You know what I mean? They really, really hold themselves accountable to things. Most signs do too, but I'm pointing this out because you've got the King of Wands here. That's someone who's a great actor, very, very theatrical, like I say, but on the inside, it's like watching a show and saying, oh, you know, Mr. Big on television, he's just so lovely. But you've got to realize that that's a role that someone is playing. On the inside, I feel here, this is a partner or potential partner where that's not exactly what you're getting. You know what I mean? There's a lot of war wounds in there. And apparently this is a karmic relationship, or one, though, to really, really heal some things here. You can't have sensuality with another person unless you have it with yourself first, and that's intimacy. It's getting to know yourself, intimacy, right? You cannot have that with another person if you don't know who you are. And this is a relationship that, or it's just a relationship dynamic, maybe, perhaps, you know. You've got to start looking at things, and the Devil card is not great. I've got to be honest. In a relationship read, that card is not great because it means you've given your power away to somebody or something. You know what I mean? It doesn't even need to be a person. It could be a belief system that you've got, you know, and that could be what the Hanged Man and healing has to do with this. How do you approach relationships? Who are you in a relationship? You know what I mean? Because it looks like you're pulling in people that also have issues. Those are mirrors back to us that say that this is where we're at. You know what I mean? And you're pulling in someone that is carrying around a boatload of guilt, right? I want to say this too in here. This could be someone, potential partner, that's not free. You know what I mean? This may be someone you're hanging on and longing for, someone who's just not free. They're just not. And it may be, you know, that they're not free from another person, but it may be too that they're just not emotionally available. So if you're not emotionally available with the Devil card, you're pulling in someone who's also not emotionally available, which is going to make for that pause button moment here where you need some healing, right? And maybe that's when the 7 of Coins gets going, because that can be a card of fall from grace too, where you take a lot of gambles in life and they don't always pay off. It sometimes can be a real big fall from grace. 7s are where we need to apply more grace anyway. It's where we need to go in the opposite direction of where we're going. 7s always jump out in front of the car and they ask us to take the spiritual, you know, take a more spiritual approach to something, right? And that, I think, you really can't get more spiritual than that sensuality card, because you need to know who you are at your core before you can offer that to anyone else, right? And this does not look like you're pulling in something that is really balanced. You've got healing, you've got guilt, you've got holding on, you've got the Devil card, you've got the Hangman card. Those are just not great cards, guys, for a state of being. So you may just want to look at that. Like I'm saying, that's why I'm doing these, so that you can look at these things really within yourself. You don't need someone else to help you figure this out. This is something that you want to look at, because you're you, whoever you show up with, you're the common denominator. So it's you who wants to really look at this, and that's who I'm doing the reading for. Okay, so there you go. I hope that I helped you in some way. Okay, happy May.